Hello, welcome to this tutorial. I'm Morris Dimba, and today we are going to part 2 on how to create a footbridge with a curved supporting frame, and we'll get started right away. As you see on the screen here, we have our previous work done on part 1, so this is just a step ahead of what we did previously. Now, if you take a look here closely, you can see some braces I've already placed inside here. So I want to populate these braces along this curve, and we'll just use the same method that we used previously. So what I'm going to do here, first of all, is to put the marking points that will guide me in populating these bracings along this curve. And also what we're going to do today is to placing the columns that will be sitting right on top of these curves. On top of that columns will be our footpath, or now the footbridge itself, the footbridge floor itself. Now I'll right click and interrupt that and come to edit here and come to points here. I'll come to the first option, online point marking. Then I'll pick on that spot, and I'll pick on that spot. My intention is to get the midpoint of this beam between these 2 points. Now I'll go this end also, and I'll use this beam here to place my mark, to mark a parameter or mark a point that will help me define or distribute those bracings along this curve. Now I'll come to edit once again here and come to point. I'll pick the first option, and I'll snap on that spot here and snap on this spot right there. I'll right click and click interrupt. I'll click OK right there and zoom out. I'll come to this far end here, and also pick this bottom end. Let me first of all turn it close, or put it in the position that I'll be able to see whatever I'm doing. Now I'll come to edit right here and come to points and pick the first option. The first option you pick when you want to mark as a center point of any 2 points. Now I'll snap on this spot and snap on that spot. I'll get the midpoint of that beam. Now I have 3 points here. These 3 points are the points that are going to set me the exact locations and the positions where these bracings will be placed. Now once you've done that, I'll come to applications and components button here. I'll click on that, and I'll pick on polar array tool. Remember, this polar array tool, you can get it on our website, Silmarks there, and you can download it right away from there, and you'll be able to make this thing work easier for you. Now I'll select on it or double click on it to access the polar array tool right here. And what I'm going to do here, first of all, I'm going to double click on this. Double click on that. It's not responding. What has just happened is because I've not enabled the assembly button here. Now I'll double click on it. So I'm going to default on this number of objects here. I'll just go ahead and click apply and accept that. So if I click and apply, accept that, I'll be able to default on those number of objects when I use the polar array command. Now I'll come back here and invoke this polar array. Then if you take a look at the bottom here, you'll be able to see you are being requested to pick the parts that you intend to populate along this curve. Now I want 2 parts here. I have 2 parts here. I select that first part and press Control and select the second one. Then press my middle button in the mouse. So once I've pressed my middle button on the mouse, I'll pick my first point, which is this one here. I'll snap on it or click on it. Then I'll go to this far end and define my second point. As you can see down here, being directed or instructed to pick your second point. Now this one will be my second point right there. Now another instruction comes over, and you're being requested to pick the third point. The third point will be on the other end, where we located it somewhere here. Now zoom close and make sure you snap on it accurately, and this is the point that we intend to snap on. I'll click on that spot. So if you zoom out, you'll be able to see the components have been distributed all over all over the circle, and this is how it looks. So these braces are only required for this top curve only. The rest will get rid of. So let me just zoom out, and you'll be able to see all these braces already in place, accurately distributed along this curve here. You can see if I turn it over like this, you'll be able to see they're well distributed perfectly well. Now we'll do a similar thing on top here. And how do we do that? We just define another point on top here. And how do we do that? We come to edit here, and first of all let's close this and also close that, because it's some sort of obstruction. We are not able to see what our model properly, so we get rid of them temporarily, because we'll go back and forth to access them to assist us in creating some components. Now I'll come on top here and come to edit and go back to points. I want to locate a point on top here that I'll be able to transfer this these bracings on top here now, or copy. Now I'll snap on that spot and snap on this spot to define the center of this beam. Now I'll select these members. I'll select this member and select on that, then right click and come to copy. Then I'll snap on this spot on top here. Then I want to copy by selecting on that spot. After selecting all these two components, I want to copy all these braces right on top here. I'll snap right on top there perfectly well, and you'll be able to see all these braces have been transferred on top of this curve. So if you zoom out, you can see there's some not connecting properly. So what do you do with such things happening to what we are just working on currently? It's simple to correct this. What you can do is just double click on it, and we want to either increase the number or reduce the number of these braces so that they fit to the particular position that we intend them to create some support to our footbridge. Now I'll come here and feed 46. We need 46 of them, not 252. I'll click modify and see whether they will respond. I'll click apply and accept that, and if you walk around, you'll be able to see all of them have been repositioned perfectly well to their respective position that where you intend them to be on. So take a look. This is how it looks. This is how it looks, and the connection will be done once we've placed all the steel members in their respective places. Then at that point we'll start creating connection between two members. At the moment we're just distributing the steel members to their respective position where they're supposed to provide support to our footbridge that will be located on top of this curve. This curve just to offer a support to a footbridge that will be laid on top of it. Remember, at the bottom of this curve, it's a big river that will be flowing. So this will just provide an access to the other end and access to the other end. So I have done that. I'll come to navigate it now. We are going straight to now placing the columns that will be sitting on top of this curve. Now, once we've done that, first of all, let's get rid of unnecessary steel members that we see on the screen here, because if you're new to this, we'll throw you some sort of confusion and you'll be wondering what are we really doing here. Now, let me first of all select, and immediately you select to find everything getting selected. But if you try to delete, you lose everything. First of all, I'll show you the trick on how you can delete whatever you don't want once you've used or populated the steel members using a polar array tool. Now come here and disable the assembly first. Then if you come here, select whatever you don't want to see and delete. Just select that and delete. Select that and delete. Now we'll select a huge number here and delete, and select that and delete. Select everything here, delete, and select whatever we don't want to see and delete everything right there, and like that. And we have some at the bottom end here. We'll get rid of them, and we'll come all the way to this spot and we'll get rid of that, and select that and get rid of that. Select this, select that, and get rid of whatever we don't want to see on your model or in your steel arrangement. Now this is how it looks, and if you take a look here, you can see these two beams. These are two beams that will be supporting our footbridge on top. So This here also will have the braces that will be supporting this the two beams. This is the span of a bridge. Let me just check the measurement. The span should be approximately 2.5, and I'll snap on that spot, and actually it's 2.5. That is the span of our footbridge. Now I want to populate this along the x-axis. Now I'll select all this, right click and come to spatial copy here and click linear, and I'll come to x-axis, and you can see at this far end here, you can see the x-axis is pointing on my left, and we want to populate this column going to the right. Now we have to prefix our dimension with a negative sign so that we don't get faced with some instruction that colliding with the other. Now I'll come to x-axis here. I'll prefix my 6 meter with a negative sign, and how many do we want here? We want 15 of these columns. Now I'll go ahead and click copy, and here we are. We have all these beams distributed along this curve. Now if I come to navigate and turn this round, you can see how these columns have been distributed on top of this curve. Now we want to modify these heights, modify these columns to sit right on top of this curve. And how do we do that? It's very, very simple, and this is how you do it. You just pick one of it and trim or rectify this height. We'll start with this one, and once you double click on it and come to position here, you can see that the top of this sits at height of 10.4 meters, and the bottom sits at 90. So we'll get rid of it. We'll try to modify this, and we'll change this to 92, approximately 92, 690, and try to click modify, and that's where it belongs. It's not accurately on that spot, and you can still go ahead and modify it further. We can modify it further by double clicking on it, but instead of wasting so much time there, we just go ahead and trim others and double click on that, and we'll feed here 94, just 94, 990, and we'll click that, and right there it is. We'll go ahead and do the same thing here, that and that, and we'll change this to 96,900, 96,900, and there we are. And that's how we trim them. Yes, select on that and double click on the other one, and we'll change this to, we change this one to 98,400. 98,400 will work much better for us. 98,400, and we'll go ahead and click modify, and that's how we trim them. You just change the level. Select on that, double click on that, and we'll change this to 98, 99,580, 98,580. Perfect. And that is how it changes. It should be 99, 99,550, 99. Perfect. That has changed. Double click on that, select on that, and we'll be able to change this to 100, 300, 100, 300, and we'll go ahead and click modify, and there we are. Select on that, double click on that, and we'll go further and change this to 100, 700, 100, 700. Perfect. And go to this, select on that, and you come here and feed 100, 750, 100, 750, and we'll be right there. Select on that, select on this, press Ctrl and double click on that, select on that and double click on this, and come to bottom under position here. And how much do you feed here? We'll just feed 100, 400. I think that will work much better. But it has gone off the mark, but it's still okay. And I'll come here again and select on that, double click on this, and come to position under bottom here, and what I'm going to feed here should be 99,700 approximately, 99,700. right there, 99,700, and double click on that, double click on this, and change that to 98,600, 98,600, and perfectly well, that is okay and in the right position. And click on that, and you'll go to 97,200, 97,200, just changing the heights of the zero level. Now select on this, press Control, select on that, and in 97,200, I think we're in 97,200, we go to 95, we go to 95, 95, 390 will work for us, and select on that. We'll come back further and check and counter check this. Here we can change this to 2, can change that to 2 to 90, and see whether it will come back to a number of to a position where we would prefer it to be on. We can bring this to 100. This is much closer. We can bring it to 0.90. That's okay, you can leave it to that position. So check on this, double click on that, and this one will change to 93, 100, 93, 100, and that will be positioned in that position. Select on that, and this one we don't need to modify further. The rest we are going to modify is just the ones that have received a great offset of the curve, and this one we can modify further. We can come back here, or start all the way from this spot and select on that, and we can modify this. We change this to remove that, and put 700, and that is landing right on top of the curve. And select on this, select on that, and we'll change this to 3 and feed it here 50. This will work much better. We can change this to 30 or 3 or 2, and that one will make that still sit on top of that curve. This one also, we just double click on that, and we change this. Instead of 700 here, we feed 600. Feed 600. Let's undo that. Just double click on it, and instead of 7 here, we feed 6, and that will land it on top right there. Just undo. We want to change all this together. Change that to 6, and that will take it right closer, and that's okay. I'll click on empty screen, and now come here and pull this, and this one also should shift to 2 here, extreme. Then now bring it slightly up, and bring it slightly up. That should be okay. You should bring this to 4. 4 is okay. Select on that, double click on that, and this one we can bring it to 1. We can bring this to 1 and see whether it will work better. Bring it to 0. This is okay, but not perfectly okay. Bring it to 8 and put 900 here, put 9 there. It has gone off the mark. So what do? We just come here and feed 7, and bring here feed 6. That's okay, and we'll come here. Remember to save your work, because in case power disappears on you, you'll be able to track back and start to a position you'll be able to complete on time. Now we'll get rid of this 9 and put 0 there, and that's the position we intend it to be on. Press Control, double click on the other one, and change this to 0, and let's see how it goes down. Now I'll change this to 2 and bring this to 9 and see how that will behave. Now let's play around this 9 here to take it right to the top of that beam. That position is okay. It's okay. Then I'll come to navigate and rotate this. Remember also, if you can mirror everything the other end. Now I'll select on this, press Ctrl and select on this. We'll not adjust the height of these columns, but we'll just try and push them slightly to touch or to be in contact of these two beams on top here. Now let me first of all close this. Then I've selected these two beams. I'll right click here and come to special move. I'll click near and I'll check the XYZ axis. I want to move these two columns in the direction of the X axis. So what do? I remove this negative sign and I'll start moving them slightly, or I can increase this to 50 so that we make our work move slightly faster. Just push them to that position slightly there, click OK, and that's okay. Click on empty screen and remember not to forget saving your work, and come to navigate and rotate this. We'll come to navigate and rotate this, and this is how it will look. This is how our bridge will look. Perfectly well and neatly done. Now on the next presentation, or the next this is a top view. This is a top view. If you view it from the top, this is what you'll see. Now on the next on the third part, I'll be able to show you on how we'll be able to brace these columns, do all the connection, creating connections on all these curved support, because you see under this curve there's a river, so the land start from that end and start from that end, so there's a connection that will be created on that end and a connection on that end, and so people will be crossing easily to the other to either directions. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and please take care, because there's a dangerous virus. Please isolate yourself, quarantine, and be safe. Thank you. Bye bye. Let's meet then on the part 3 of this curved bridge creation. Thank you. Bye bye.